to dominate worlds.
It's a successful formula for sure, as we do have a coin flip loss, maybe being a not so successful formula for this one. The immediate send from the extra deck. It is X'd Ryziel here for Matrix on PG. PG looking good so far, just in the sense that they won that coin flip, but losing the other two. You know, we mentioned how Malice, Ryziel, Memento, these were the decks of the format. All of them love to go first, so the coin flip can be very telling at times.
And also Duel B, even though the coin toss was not won by Team PG, there was just a pass by Mist. The Malice deck once again couldn't produce anything there on the first turn. So maybe that X Ryziel is going to mean exit for Team Ragnarok here, because that start looks promising for Team PG here instead. Oh, and Droll and Lockbird resolve, but when you already have multiple Ryziel monsters in your hand, that means you can still definitely, at the very least, go for Ryziel Detonator.
Yep, there we go. Sword Ryziel going to join the X Ryziel on the field and going to join the X Ryziel in the graveyard. Actually, not in the graveyard, sorry. Rather underneath the overlay unit of the Ryziel Detonator.
Yes, and there is now the Mariologic Aggregator being a material as well. So I think the Droll and Lockbird still did a decent job here, because we couldn't go through the surges of Sword Ryziel and also not the Ryziel Duo Drive. So it will only be the Detonator here to overcome. And Luca and his Malice deck, I think he has overcome stronger fields than this. So let's see how he's going to tackle this one here.
Shout out to Matrix for being kind of on brand with the rank 4 Baguska, the Terribly Tied Tapir, as the dual mate of the Ryziel.
I feel like Matrix has been playing Challenger Cup since Season 1, and I think he has always used that the Tapir. So it's finally his shot to also actually play it in one deck that he's
Life
bringing.
finds a way sometimes, you know?
Yes.
And Ash Blossom finds a way to run interference on this Malice strategy here. We have the immediate disruption committed. We have Luca stopped in his tracks, and we have, importantly, the disruption and the destruction still live on the Ryziel Detonator, but Metal Tronus now coming out.
Oh, Metal Tronus can be huge, because sometimes you just tag that Ryziel Detonator and you actually use that one spot, and that means we're going to banish both of them face down here. Only ending on Detonator means everything on the field here will be out with that single Metal Tronus.
You see Artifact Lancia as the tech against the Malice deck, and you see Metal Tronus make a difference against the Ryziel, but no banish so far.
Actually, yeah, we have decided against that, because we don't even really need to banish it here anymore, as it will still be negated through the Metal Tronus, and we rather want to just have another monster ready to be linked off with our, of course, link strategy. So I do definitely understand that. Thing being here, though, the Aggregator is still underneath the Detonator, so if we find a good spot to activate the Detonator now and just detach the Aggregator, that could still cause some problems, but we shall see whether Matrix can find that good spot to use the Aggregator. Oh, hold on, is that the moment already? I feel like it is.
Could very well be. The Malice in Underground is live, but will it last long? Actually, it will, because the Chessy Cat is going to be the target here of this disruption.
I mean, this is pretty good, because now the Malice Dormouse will be summoned, and the moment it is summoned, it's not activating its effect just yet, but before it could even activate its effect, it's already negated by the Aggregator. The dangerous thing with this, though, is you can just link off the Dormouse, and if you have another way to bring it back onto the field, you still have not used the effect yet. So negating it on the summon doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be safe from Dormouse for the rest of the turn.
Indeed, you'll get the extension, you'll get the extra cards, and you'll get the ability to continue to play through as much as you need to. Now, taking a look at Duel C, it does look like there's a clear field on one side still, and it does mean that we have actually seen Nesh on the Memento deck start to establish some kind of presence here. Creation King in defense alongside the Gatic does suggest that there's still a lot more to see from the Memento deck as well.
Standing free, including another Creation King from the extra deck, so we want to access the field spell through that. And I feel like whenever we stumbled into one of Nash's matches, he was always comboing. Like, I never feel like we saw Nash just watching. It was always him on the action and always him dominating his opponents, which also, of course, explains why Team STOR, Team Ragnarok, is currently in the top 4, still being undefeated in overall matches.
PG looking to do okay though. Momentolan Fusion now going to be activated in the graveyard for Nesh though, because even if we've seen a lot so far, it's still not over for the Memento deck, but this could throw a wrench, or rather a rather large rock into the works. Nibiru, the primal being, going to come down for Dark, going to rain down and going to clear out this field.
This is interesting because it is in response to the fusion. And the fusion does not need to destroy a Memento monster, meaning we can now just destroy the token that we were just given, and we are still, in the end, resolving the effect of the fusion. So let's see how important that really was to use the Nibiru right at that moment, because I feel like Nash might very well find a way to still continue. But you see the little bubbles there. There might have also been a Perulia resolving. Oh!
Indeed.
And Nash is revealing that it's not just any kind of Memento deck. It is a Goblin Biker Memento deck.
Goblin Biker Doug Charger now going to come out onto the field here.
That is very, very cool. Usually it's a small package because, of course, you're already playing the Goblin Biker Grand Entrance, the quick spell to get the Memento Goblin onto the field, but you can just bring some more Goblin Biker cards to make that package even more valuable. And therefore, it's definitely something we see from time to time. And when you have that bigger package, you also will include the continuous spell card, Goblin Biker Grand Entrance. When there's nothing to do anymore with the Memento part of the deck, you can just go ahead and go with the Goblins. And there you see the synergy between the two, because the Grand Entrance now again was used to search for Memento card. But looks like that may be the end of the turn.
Anyone that detaches Ryziel material with the Goblin Biker spell card is my hero. I'm just going to say it now.
Yeah, I mean, Duck Charger could do that for you for sure. That is definitely something that is very good. But overall, we see Duel B actually being finished there. And I think that is a win for Team STOR there. So the big favorites are already up a game here. Looks very much like it. Meanwhile, Duel A and also the table here from Nash still competing. But it also looks pretty good on Duel A, gotta say. But PG, that Nibiru, did more than I actually on the first look thought. It really, really stopped Nash from what he was trying to set up. And now, what is the deck even that Dark has brought? Is he also the Memento player of the team, or is he bringing something else here? Surely enough, the Hedgehog, the mate, is already waiting, but I don't think it's going to be a Synchron strategy here necessarily that we're about to see. But we are considering it heavily. No effects being used in the draw phase. There were apparently some options. Oh, and he is the Malice player of the team. And he finds the most prominent normal summon of the deck, being the Malice P Dormouse.
Yep, and do we have any kind of disruption here for the Dormouse, or is it just going to resolve, and are we just going to see the Malice deck do Malice things? Have an extra body in the Nibiru, but the Book of Eclipse now going to come to flip everything face down.
That's nice, because we, in the other match, were talking about the fact that when you negate the Dormouse on its summon, if you can still get it back to the field later on, it will be able to activate its effect again. But here in that case, when you just put it face down, for a link-based strategy, getting cards off the field that are face down is really, really hard because you can't link them off anymore. Therefore, Book of Eclipse really, really powerful against those link strategies. As we can clearly see here, and speaking of successful link strategies, at Duel A, I think we brought our opponent down to 400 life points there, but that's not quite enough just yet. Matrix still hanging in here. Luca was not able to finish it off. Oh, okay, activating Fuvelos here. Wait, has one of those monsters maybe not even attacked yet?
The battle phase?
Yeah, I could see it, because they're definitely not going to end on Access Code Talker, so maybe they were afraid of them going into an SP Little Knight, so you wanted to prevent that. But Matrix will get another turn, and the Red Ransom is no interruption on the field. The Access Code Talker is neither, so
I've seen Ryziel come back with one card before.
For sure. It is possible. Can Matrix pull it off here with only those 400 remaining life points? I'm always being nervous when I see those red numbers there on the top of the screen, your life points being so low, or the timer also blinking.
Do you not feel alive, like in Dynamorphia, you know?
So you have that, right? When you play Dynamorphia, you actually need that kind of blinking on the screen there for you to be happy. But no, I'm more so nervous when that happens to me, really. But here in that moment, Matrix will need to be calm enough to find a line to still get the job done here.
Important to contextualize that this is going to be the difference maker for PG, because regardless of whether or not they win, they still have one more match to play before they can say that they've qualified for that Paris Spectator Pass. Malice in the Mirror now going to come through. Extra Ryziel going to be chained to, but it still looks okay here for the Ryziel deck.
We have a one level 4 monster now on the field. X-Ryziel is not going to give us another one now, but if there is another one in our hand, that might still be very handy. Thing though being now the Red Ransom coming back, and now we're also probably just going to banish another Malice monster as we do there. That would probably be White Rabbit, and then White Rabbit can give us access to MTP07, which then once more is just another way, another interruption to deal with those
Yep,
level 4
because you have the Malice links on the field as well. It does mean that these Malice spells and traps are able to run the interference that you need.
Absolutely.
Malice and Underground going to be added to the hand. It is still Matrix's turn, however.
It is, but Matrix realizes there is more and more now coming his way. That MTP07, though, can technically be countered by Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. It's one of the interruptions from the Malice deck that can be countered with that card, but there's also now, just on top of all of that, the Max Thief from Luca. Can Matrix now find a way around that? Also powerful, also dominating card of the Master Duel landscape. Meantime, I think, 7th Tachyon. So we had access to more engine here on Matrix side, but 7th Tachyon is great because it adds consistency to the deck, but it also means you are kind of taking a negative trade as you are searching a card, but you're also losing the 7th Tachyon, and then you also have to sacrifice another card from your hand, meaning the card we searched here, the Ice Ryziel, is the last remaining card, our last remaining push, and if Luca finds an answer to this, it will be hard.
Looks okay so far, however, as the onus has moved back to Matrix. Can the Ryziel deck find something to keep them in this game? Luca is still looking through his deck with the help of Max C for a further disruption from the hand.
Absolutely, Sword Ryziel with another surge here. And Luca is only on 5,300. So if we can just bring the Malice deck down to something below 1,000 life points, then maybe we don't even need to finish the game here this turn, because that can sometimes also be our win condition. There is no... Okay, we've drawn enough, says Luca. We have found our Droll and Lockbird, and we need to necessarily chain the Malice MTP07 to the Droll and Lockbird.
Yep, to get the actual
can't search anymore,
resolution.
And now we will banish one of those level 4 monsters off the field. And in the process, we do get a March here as well. This is looking pretty still for Luca, but Matrix, what kind of rank 4 monster could we even go into here? It is a tough task to figure out. I don't see any rank 4 monster that could save us here. And Luca is not even done yet. We do go for the March here immediately as well.
Important to note that Baguska cannot turn these Link monsters sideways, and therefore their effects will remain live on Luca's turn. Now, let's see how we decide to go from here. That XC's rank 4 toolbox for the Ryziel deck, it's so useful, but does it have something that can deal with this? I am thinking maybe Evil Swarm Exciton Knight could be nice, but
yeah, for sure. I think
nice is one thing.
That is probably the best option we have here right now, which would deal with the entire field. Still, problem being, of course, Luca has follow-up in his hand, and that means there is nothing else but the Exciton Knight to overcome, and therefore I feel like it might be our last resort and our best shot here. I'm doubting, though, that it will be enough. But Matrix, considering his options right now, I mean, if you go Baguska, it will immediately be destroyed by the Exit Talker next turn, so I don't think that's ever an option. So you probably will have to rely on the Exciton Knight, at least destroying something here.
Yep, and let's see. The Ryziel still deciding whether or not to go into the extra deck. I imagine the timer is ticking down pretty reliably too.
Definitely is. The combination of the life points blinking and the timer blinking, oh my. But as this one is a little stale right now, let's move back over to Duel C, I would recommend, because it looks like Nash did not only interrupt with the Book of Eclipse, but also Memento Fusion going into Guardian Chimera. Still, though, Dark is continuing. Both of these interruptions were not enough to ultimately stop Dark, who now, in fact, goes into Dark, the Dark Charmer Gloomy, and there's Marcher in hand as well. Still, this is huge. Malice just sometimes just doesn't stop producing pushes. It just keeps on going and going and going. and Dark finds another example for this right here, right now.
Yep, gonna get one extra body off the Dark Charmer Gloomy from Nesh's graveyard at that, and is able to further extend with this. Gonna link climb, gonna keep going. All of this good Malice stuff now happening in favor of Dark and in favor of keeping PG in this series.
That's going to be Appaloosa, because usually when you use 3 monsters for Link 4, it would not be... Oh, we just go for Heart Scripter. Fair enough. Yeah, okay, that works out.
I do... To be fair, you know, you need to see the Appaloosa Bow of the Goddess against the Memento strategy, because we highlighted how much of the deck's innate power is just monster effect, monster effect, monster effect. And running Disruption like that is really difficult to deal with. So I imagine Dark will eventually climb into it, but right now, opting for the more aggressive, right now kind of play.
I mean, speaking of aggression, we do have a battle phase here this turn, so I feel like going the aggressive route could really pay off here with us possibly just winning the game here on this turn, which would be so impressive. Seeing that Malice P Dormouse is still set there on the field, but we just didn't mind it and we just keep on going. Now the Heart Scripter is going to banish away that Guardian Chimera, and now with the Heart Scripter plus that set Malice Trap card on the field, I think we are already lining up more than 8,000 points of damage here, because that Heart Scripter will come back with a lot of attack points. Hold on though, Sleepy will be able to send something from his deck to the graveyard. There is no Gaddock anymore that we can send though, so that is not going to end up producing a monster on the field. First attack by the Heart Scripter, GWC banishes the Heart Scripter, and that's all we need really. Impressive stuff here from Dark. You not gonna lie, that is really, really huge.
That was really, really good to come back, honestly. Like, off of the single Nibiru, the Primal Being was able to snowball that advantage into just complete dominance here and bring back this series for PG. 1-1 on the board against Ragnarok, one of your World Championship representatives. PG not going down without a fight, as this Exiton Knight looks to do the same in favor of Matrix here, as he looks to bring this game back. Ryziel plugin now used. 4 cards in hand for Luca, but 2 about to join the hand of Matrix.
We can bring out the Ryziel Detonator now again, which is nice. So I feel like we made the most out of it. We see we went for the Exiton Knight, cleared off all the monsters on the field, and now still in the end we do get to produce a Ryziel Detonator with one way to destroy, you would think. But Ryziel Detonator, not only on XYZ summon, but also on special summon, will be able to attach another material, meaning we will have 2 materials on that Ryziel Detonator. And I mean, Luca only, I say only, but sometimes only on 4 cards in hand, and then when there is not enough pushes, that could be enough. So I was almost ruling out Matrix, but this possibly can still work out here. I wouldn't rule him out just yet. There is Malice in Underground. You need to destroy this. There's no real option. It is... Wait, it is only... Oh, it's only 1 material on the detonator. Ah, true. Yeah, it only amounts to 1 material because...
Still going to take your advice and destroy this.
Yeah, I think you have to, but that is the only material on it. Of course, that is going to be tough because any kind of normal summon now does the trick. We do not even necessarily need a Malice normal summon. Even just normal summoning Molcharmy Fuvalos would absolutely be sufficient here. Luca, what have you got? Okay, Aggregator, sure, let's negate that Red Ransom. Wasn't using its effect anyways. Oh, okay, it is March here even. That's massive.
Yep, that's a pretty good start for the Malice when it comes to building back a field.
And that may be another access code talker hauling here.
400 life points. I think access code can do it.
Yeah, for sure. You want to... The last thing you have to consider here is there is Exiton Knight on the field, and Exiton Knight is a quick effect actually in the opponent's battle phase. So you want to make sure that you get rid of the Exiton Knight before that battle phase here. But I do think we have plenty of tools to accomplish that. Access code talker would only be one of those, but we do not even necessarily need to go into that. Chassis Cat gets us 2 new and fresh cards. And Luca is cruising once more. We haven't seen Nash losing a whole lot throughout the tournament. That was the first time, basically, we saw him on display there, losing his match against Dark. But still, his teammates, Herman and Luca, are doing their best to keep Team Storm of Ragnarok here in the lead. That is going to be a Link free here. Looks like a possible Heart Scripter. That is what we are going to see. And that card can now just banish that Exiton Knight if we really want to, and that is our choice. Oh, was there a Plasma Pull on there. Okay, we attack. That is just game, yeah.
Yep, there we go.
Over the Star
And then
Ryzeal.
one more attack over with the Heart Scriptor over the Ryzeal Detonator. And then finally the Red Ransom will connect for game.
Luca is the Malice player of the team. I'm wondering whether this is already how it is also going to look at the World Championship, you know? Because they are really dedicating the decks to the players here for this specific tournament. Maybe they also want to trick the competition coming to WCS, and they're just switching decks around here, which would honestly be even more impressive, right? When you can just switch between those decks and still perform so decently with it.
I'm also thinking, you know, when you introduce the extra set of decks at the World Championship level, it does introduce another level of nuance as well, because suddenly 10 pi becomes a valid option because people will be kept guessing, hey, can I let this person go second?
Totally.
And also, you know, being forced to delve further into the pool outside of that comfort zone of those clear top three within the competitive environment right now. Granted,
Definitely.
Abu Hamid's comfort zone is somewhere else entirely. Playing branded regardless.
He's just the most comfortable with playing branded cards whenever he gets.
I believe that team actually is up 3-0 at the moment, so looking pretty good. May even be our first clean 5-0 sweep, or one of our first anyway. So really looking forward to seeing how that one plays out, of course, but that's on the other side of the bracket. We still have this side of the bracket very much alive here.
Yeah, and Storm of Ragnarok really doing everything in their power to just get that first place. You just say, hey, first place on the pricing sheet is that trip to WCS, but let's just turn it around. Let's just have a team win that is already qualified, and then second place will still get that beautiful prize of traveling to WCS, of traveling to Paris and watching all the action from the World Championship
also
first hand.
Some nice Challenger Cup prizing.
Yes.
You get the game mat of the Deputy as well as the game mat of the Mementotlin Anguich.
I love this language. As to the players here for this specific tournament, maybe they also want to trick the competition coming to WCS, and they're just switching decks around here, which would honestly be even more impressive, right? When you can just switch between those decks and still perform so decently with it.
I'm also thinking, you know, when you introduce the extra set of decks at the World Championship level, it does introduce another level of nuance as well, because suddenly 10 pi becomes a valid option because people will be kept guessing, hey, can I let this person go second?
Totally.
And also, you know, being forced to delve further into the pool outside of that comfort zone of those clear top three within the competitive environment right now. Granted, Abu Hamid's comfort zone is somewhere else entirely. Playing branded regardless.
He's just the most comfortable with playing branded cards whenever he gets.
I believe that team actually is up 3-0 at the moment, so looking pretty good. May even be our first clean 5-0 sweep, or one of our first anyway. So really looking forward to seeing how that one plays out, of course, but that's on the other side of the bracket. We still have this side of the bracket very much alive here.
Yeah, and Storm of Ragnarok really doing everything in their power to just get that first place. You just say, hey, first place on the pricing sheet is that trip to WCS, but let's just turn it around. Let's just have a team win that is already qualified, and then second place will still get that beautiful prize of traveling to WCS, of traveling to Paris and watching all the action from the World Championship
also
first hand.
Some nice Challenger Cup prizing.
Yes.
You get the game mat of the Deputy as well as the game mat of the Mementotlin Anguich.
I love this language.
I know you love Memento, hence why we're so happy to see it make such a prominent appearance here. Are we going to see it again in this game? It's Luca on the Malice versus Dark, who I believe
is also on the Malice deck.
Yes.
So we saw Malice in the mirror on the last game, but now we have a Malice mirror on our hand here between these two. And it is Dark winning the coin toss and therefore starting off here. And there is Malice in Underground. As good as a starter as you could ask for. Is there any response vote to Dormouse? Possible Fuvalos, possible Maxi, possible Dominus Impulse immediately being used from Luca here.
I think this is another thing where we'll see Dominus Impulse perhaps become more hotly in demand once that second set of decks is added at the World Championship level.
Go on, yeah.
Because Blue Eyes will compete for it as well if Blue Eyes is indeed
no, Blue Eyes is rather going
the other
after
side, sorry, yeah.
rather going after Dominus Purge. Though.
Exactly,
yeah,
that. Sorry, yeah. Blue Eyes loves light effects.
But this is very well anticipated by Luca, because when the Malice deck starts with Malice in the Underground, oftentimes it is their only push, because usually they start with something else and then keep the Malice in Underground as a possible extender. But when they start with Malice in the Underground, it is very good to assume, or very easy to assume, that there actually is no further pushes. And as we can clearly see here, there were no further pushes. And turn is over to Luca, who sets 2 cards, who sets 3 cards.
Yep,
this is no Labyrinth deck. What are we doing here?
Both of these Malice duels have unfortunately not had the most ideal start for either of them. Now, Dark, you've drawn an extra card. Is that enough to get a starter here? Is there the Dormouse, perhaps? Is there the March Hare? Is there anything?
Oh my, it is a sad monster and another sad card. We have a total of 6 face-down cards now on the field. What is happening here? Top 4 of this very, very important Challenger Cup match.
I think that's going to be an Effect Veiler.
What makes you think that? I feel like it might rather be a Charmy.
I think the Charmy is more
good.
valuable in the Ryziel package, though, because it's the level 4. But I think the Veiler... Okay, yeah, maybe it is the Charmy. I think it's a Veiler simply because I know for a fact that Malice would run Veiler because it's a target for the Celine. The climb into access code.
Oh, but you can't really play the Celine in the Malice deck because
actually.
it is not a Cybers monster. And also I think the Effect Veiler would just have decent value in the hand. And we see Luca finding the Dormouse.
But someone else who's making great plays is Luca. The Dormouse now going to resolve.
Is it? I mean, there must be an answer to this. Dark couldn't play the game himself, so he definitely must have answers to keep Luca away from playing as well. What could it be here? I feel like Dark, if it would be Effect Veiler...
A 3-material XC summon in Duel B, by the way, into the Ryziel Detonator.
That is, again, of course, missed playing the Ryziel Fiendsmith deck. And there we have it. And having triple Tactic Talents to possibly look into the opponent's hand. We do, so we all together have a look at Matrix hand here in the Ryziel Mirror, but there's almost no Ryziel cards in there. Just a Sword Ryziel and the 7th Tachyon, joined by all kinds of hand interactions there. Double Ash Blossom, Drone and Lockbird, and Effect Veiler. And 7th Tachyon is the one we take out here. Easy decision, because Sword Ryziel is not the most optimal starter for that.
7th Tachyon suggesting as well that, well, perhaps we don't have any way to disrupt it ourselves. And therefore, yeah, just getting rid of that does mean Sword Ryziel, everything is relying on that. Perhaps indeed that Effect Veiler that we mentioned before is in fact in this deck and could be used to negate whatever is summoned here from Matrix.
And now we head into the main phase. We know there's Sword Ryziel as a potential starter, but there also is one unknown card just picked off here for turn.
Every time I look at Nash, he has like 4 cards in the monster set.
Yeah, I was saying that earlier. Nash, whenever we go to his table, is just comboing. I never see him watching. It's always comboing. But then, when we actually went into detail, we see Big Kabonga.
Okay, Dulcie, let's
with
go.
the Big Kabonga starting the party here also for the Goblin Biker part of the deck. I love that card. The name alone, right? The Big Kabonga. I couldn't enjoy it anymore. And he has so many cards in hand overall as well.
We saw Fiendsmith earlier, but in fact, it was Goblin Bikers that were truly unchained.
Yeah, and we bring the Dark Charger out. And also noteworthy, Luca has won his game there on Duel A, meaning the score goes up to 3-1 in favor for Team Storm of Ragnarok. And we see both Nash, but also, of course, still Mist doing pretty well for that team as well here. And we are not done yet on Nash, and he keeps on running away with it here. Still turn 1, but this already looks so strong here.
We have 8 cards in hand for Nash, and the combos keep coming. We have a summon of the Dark Charger here. Could indeed access more of the rank 3 Xyzes. Will in fact access more of the rank 3 Xyzes. Do we have another Big Kabonga, or do we have something else? Ooh. It will be the Xyz Armor Torpedo.
That's cool. We can just draw a card by detaching 2 materials. Even more cards in hand now. And now I'm wondering, do we also play the rest of the extra deck package? Because you can just technically put the XYZ armor on top of this. But
I like the Dark Knight Lancer. It's
ultimately that one as well, yeah. But we do just use it to get rid of it together with the Big Kabonga. That's 2 rank 3 monsters, 2 Exceed monsters with the same rank. And that can go into Utopia Draco Future. That is
Number F0, Utopic Draco Future. Really cool. Great card. I don't see it every day, so for those viewers at home that might not see it every day either, please elaborate as to what it does.
Yeah, it's very, very strong because it allows you to not only negate a monster effect from your opponent by detaching a material, but also then afterwards take control of the monster that you were negating if it is on the field and therefore eligible to be taken. So that is a very, very, very strong interruption. And additionally right now...
That is also an interruption, by the way, so great one to have there for Nesh, the SP Little Knight making an appearance.
And additionally, it is a way to play around the Nibiru, the Primal Being, which otherwise sometimes the Memento deck has problems to play around, as we also saw in Nash's first duel here of this matchup, because he lost to Nibiru on the first set.
I feel like SP was everywhere last year, and I think that was a fair assumption to make in the Snake Eye metas. But moving into this year, we've seen less and less of it. Can you explain to me why this card in particular maybe took a backseat compared to the other extra deck mainstays?
I feel like the extra decks for the top decks right now, being Malice and Ryziel, are just more focused on those actual engine cards. So in Ryziel, you basically only have Exceed monsters, as it is a fully Exceed-based deck. Sometimes the 15th spot turns out to be SP Little Knight, so there is people including it. But just naturally, with you being locked into rank 4s very often with the effect of X Ryziel, you just can't afford to play that card because you rather want to have Exceed monsters. And in Malice, you still see the card because it can actually enable your plays as well. Yeah. But it's not very often part of the end field. That is very true. And now we go into another mirror match here. So wait, you have the exact same team lineups for those two teams. It is Memento, Ryziel, and the Malice deck for both of these teams.
I guess that is a true test of skill here, as we do have indeed Ragnarok looking like the clear favorites, but it's not all doom and gloom PG. It's still winnable, and if they even are able to claim one game here, they'll take it to a guaranteed third set.
Immediately using Forbidden Droplet here on Nash's side, trying to negate that Tatsuno Chichogo immediately. That is happening, that is resolving, so no distraction. I think Nash knows the Memento deck super well, of course, as he is piloting himself, and therefore decides he does not want to give NF any chance to destroy monsters on their side of the field. So using the Forbidden Droplet as the first interruption is really, really smart.
And there is the small Goblin package compared to the full commitment from Nesh. Just the access to the Mementotlan Goblin via the grand entrance here. Yeah. We now have it stolen on top of that, and suddenly everything's looking a bit shaky for
Goblins
NF.
everywhere now. That's also the normal summon of choice, but it's only rightfully so that the Mementotlan Goblin from NF wanted to change sides, right? Because you really want to go to the other Goblin cards. There's a Goblin Biker package in Nash deck, so you surely want to join. Now we chain the SP Little Knight, though, to the Goblin. Okay, there also is Mementotlan Fusion to chain here, though. And interestingly enough, for the very moment, there is no way to take control of a monster anymore with the Utopic Draco future, as all of our main monster zones right now are used up. But of course, eventually we can also just go into Mementotlan Fusion, clearing up some of those zones again. I think that is the plan ultimately.
There is the Twin Dragon to further extend into more of these fusion monsters further down the line, but right now it's a clear field in favor of Nash. NF, though, looks to continue here. We had 8 cards in hand for Nesh, now down to 3, so already not looking too bad here for NF in terms of making a comeback, but still, it's a comeback for a reason because he's very far behind right now.
Yeah, and I mean, there's still so many things to be used on Nash's side. We haven't even bothered to use the effect of the Creation King yet. There is still the Utopic Draco feature. There will be another way to clear up our own field by just using the effect of the Creation King. So plenty of options here still left for Nash. And he also has his very own copy of a Mementotlan Fusion also in the free back row cards that he has there. And there is Vegetic now returning. And there is going to be another monster returning from the graveyard due to the effect of the Twin Dragon. And then that could already be a good moment to go into the Mementotlan Fusion to possibly summon out Guardian Chimera again, because I feel like Nash really was the Memento player I saw summoning the Guardian Chimera the most often, because sometimes you see it, but with Nash it more so felt like you always see it.
He definitely has the more unconventional picks in his extra deck. I mean, we're looking at some of them. The big Gabonga is in the graveyard as well, but speaking of XCs in the extra deck, Duel B is heating up in favor of that Ryziel on the bottom side of your screen. It looks like another victory for Ragnarok is coming in Duel B.
Yeah, that should also already be like turn 3, right? Because I'm pretty sure we already passed the turn 1, and therefore those big monsters that are on the field might actually already lead to victory in that very turn that we're seeing there from Mist, who just keeps on winning. But Nash currently still trying to figure it out here. But yeah, there we see. Yeah, it is turn 3. We are in the main phase 1, and that is 2 big rank 4 monsters that are sitting on the field. So can we figure this out?
Playing Ryzeal with the Xyz cup sleeves.
Yeah, just fitting, for sure.
We like it.
Ooh, discards Feedsman Paradise. That's a nice discard there for the Ice Ryzeal. Oh, doing some quick math. We're not far off. That should be more than 8,000 here. Heading into the battle phase. 1,500. Yeah, that surely
I believe that is Mist taking us to match point here. It's all on Nesh to close this one out as Matrix does fall. Ragnarok 4-1 up against PG here. PG, they're on the back foot, but can they make the comeback? Can they make this happen? I guess we're about to find out.
Now we finally get to use the effect of Utopic Draco Future, but as we negated Goblin, that means we're not going to take any monsters. That still works. We just don't get the added benefit, but the negation of it is, of course, still pretty nice. That now, of course, since the combined creation is on the field, leads to that one activating, bringing back the Dark Blade. So still somehow NF keeps on going, but now there is the Bone Party, and please note there is the Horn Dragon on the field, and when Horn Dragon gets destroyed by a card effect, it will activate its graveyard effect certainly right after here, destroying 3 cards on the field, including 1 Memento card. So we go after our own Anguish, and we go after both monsters on the side of NF.
Memento Mictlan actually going to be used as well, and there we have it. This should be it for Nesh, but game is not over quite yet. We still have some options.
This is just so impressive. Storm of Ragnarok, they just win every game. They just fight every game. They always figure out the most ideal line, and they really deserve to be one of our WCS participant teams.
I actually have just heard that the other team won 5-0. It will be T2 in the finals against